until the day in the, the we generation, which that's the ultimate generation to the rapture, the last generation, that we who are still alive, that's the last generation of the rapture, until the last Gentile enters. Then now, look at this now. Now the Lord will embark on Israel. The church is gone. There is no more church. Now you have the tribulation saints. And we saw yesterday that their worship ordinances are totally different. And so, the church of Christ of this day, again, if you, on that matter of ignorance, you find that they are ignorant of this. They live as though the grace is forever. We need to be understanding one thing. Number one, let me use two words. That they have suffered blindness or the hardening of heart. Or, okay, let's take hardening of heart. You're saying in part, number one, or temporarily. So in part means not all of them are blind. Some are receiving the Lord today. Temporarily meaning not forever. There is a time going to come, poop, after the last Gentile. Then now the grace is cut off. And at the same time now the Lord is embarked on Israel. So the church is not aware, is ignorant of this also. Because if they were aware of this, and if you watch the way Israel is now on your news, you would be running up and down now. Running up and down, preparing the church. Be careful. It's about to end. It's about to end. Because what happens, the tribulation is unbelievable. You don't want to go there. You would be running up and down. And so, he says there is ignorance on this also, on the prophetic timeline of God. So back to 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 13 rather. So again, he calls death sleep. That is serious. And then death, meaning there will be resurrection. So this is the evidence you have that there is life after this life. The word sleep. That is the strongest evidence you have that there is life after this. And so he's talking about resurrection. So he's saying, so in the death doing here, that because of the rapture of the church, the Christians, we are the only people globally, the Christians going to be raptured are the only people globally that can take two polar ends. Death with its melancholy and sadness and funeral and mourning and sobbing and crying, desolation, isolation, abandonment, loss. In fact, death is considered loss. Because you see the doctors battled to try to save the life and they failed. And then he went. Death is considered the wages of sin. Is death. So it's a penalty. When somebody dies is considered a loss. The horrors of death, the terrors of death, the morbidity of death. And then, from that polar end, he is taking the extreme polar end, which is hope. So, because of the message of the rapture, now he is able, because of Christ and the message of the rapture of the church, only here now, in the church of Christ, can you take those two polar ends and put together.